Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited for today's reading vlog because I guess this will be our first official fall vlog of the fall season. I wanted to start this a little bit earlier than I did last fall. I'm not gonna lie, kind of dropped the ball a little bit, but we're back in it now. I have some cute fall-y things that I want to do with you guys. Like I said, we're starting my fall reading. I have a fall crochet project that I'm working on. I've already bought my first fall product of this season, and we're just gonna kind of go through all of that this week. First, starting with the TBR. This is not a set TBR, and you'll understand why in a second. These are just kind of like the options that I'm picking from this week, and I might even add a couple more just depending on how I'm feeling. My current read is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I'm like 117 pages into this book, loving it so far, but I'll do my full thoughts or reading update on that a little bit later. But this is the current read, so obviously like the first book that I'm reading. I have been wanting to get back into reading classics, and I went to Books A Million today. I picked up some of the new Arcturus version, Phantom of the Opera. I also bought Jane Eyre, and then I also got The Legend of Sleepy Hollow and Other Stories, as well as Carmilla. I just really want to get back into reading classics. I really have my eye on Jane Eyre and The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. I do want to get to the other two, but I want to focus more of my time on reading Jane Eyre. I just really wanted to get back into reading like some gothic-ish kind of classics for the fall season. And then last on this list for now, but I will probably be adding on to this list as the week goes, and that's The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. I read One Dark Window, that duology, sometime at the beginning of this year. Like, I read One Dark Window a while ago and then I finished it this year. Everyone is saying how this is such a good gothic romantasy. I think it might be more like fantasy with a little bit of romance, which would make sense given Rachel Gillig, but I don't know. I'm excited to read it. This is the first time in a long time where I've been actually craving fantasy reads, so I'm super excited to get into those. I do think for now I'm probably going to spend some time crocheting and listening to an audiobook. I do also just want to show you, while I was at Books A Million earlier today, I got this edition of Great Expectations by Charles Dickens, and frankly I love her. She is so cute. I love her so much. One of my favorite classics of all time, and I just could not pass this book up considering it was $5. But that's pretty much it for the introduction. I think we're just gonna get right into the reading and kind of the cozy vibes for this video. I think it's time that we do an update because I've gotten a good chunk of reading in on Ninth House. I'm up to page 184. I haven't talked about it yet in this vlog, so let's chat about it, shall we? If you're not familiar with what Ninth House is about, you're following this girl named Galaxy, which is honestly kind of cool, but she goes by Alex Stern and she's a student at Yale, except she probably would not have earned a position in Yale. And then the question becomes like, why is she one of the only people that have been accepted into Yale that probably did not deserve it? You kind of get like the secret society, dark academia vibe. I will say I was going into this expecting a little bit more fantasy, because every time I had heard people talking about it, they were talking about all of like the fantasy elements. And to be quite frank, the most like fantastical or just fantasy element in it is the magic that's in it, because you are dealing with more, it's like a magical realism type deal, or which is only fantasy, which is in this book, which isn't a bad thing. It took me a little bit to like get into it because I was expecting more fantasy than I was like magical realism, I guess, if that makes sense. But I'm still really enjoying it. I love Leigh Bardugo's writing. This feels very different from Six of Crows, which it is very different from Six of Crows, so like it makes sense. Just Six of Crows, while it did have a very like dreary kind of tone to it because of the stakes and everything, it didn't feel as depressing as this book feels. This book feels very depressing, just like because of the situations that Alex was in before she gets to Yale, and just kind of like her upbringing and things that were happening with her. It's a very sad time for her. You're following a past and present timeline. There's a couple big questions that we're trying to get answered right now. There's this guy named Darlington, which is a really funny name to me, but I'm enjoying it so far. I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm liking it. I'm liking the tone. This is very much like the perfect book, I feel like, to read during the fall, or like if you want to get into the fall spirit. It is still 100+ degrees here in Houston, so nothing else is giving fall other than what's happening in this house at this moment. Speaking of, my first fall purchase of the year was this little orange ghost cup. I got it from Michael's, and she has my water. This will be my cup of the season until I get a new one. It was on sale. It was $20. I got it for $12. So I had to get it anyways. But yeah, I think I'm honestly planning just to read for the night. I did end up getting Carmilla on audio. I downloaded it to my Spotify, and I think I'm gonna listen. I think that'll be my audiobook. I just really want to get through this because I don't know if I want to pick up Hellbent next or if I want to get directly into Jane Eyre. I bought this copy. I had to order it off of Amazon because I literally could not find this copy anywhere else. So I ordered it, which I don't love ordering books from Amazon, but like I literally could not find this book anywhere. But this is like the most beautiful version of Jane Eyre I think I've ever seen, and so it should be here tomorrow, and I'm super excited about that. Yeah, I'm just excited to like get through this. My Audible says that I have like a little over 4 hours left of the audiobook. I'm immersive reading this whole thing. I do think that I would probably have a little bit more of a difficult time trying to get through this physically if I did not have the audiobook. Just, I don't know, there's something about it that I feel like it's not grabbing me, and that like all I want to do is read it, like what was happening with Six of Crows. So what I was doing is I would switch between like immersive reading it and just listening to the audiobook while I work on my first crochet project of the season as well, my first fall project. I'm crocheting a blanket because I don't have any fall blankets. Actually, I lost all of my blankets in the mold gate. So I started this today actually. I've gotten a good chunk done. I still want to do some more crocheting before I go to bed tonight, but I only have one more like yarn thing, spool thing left. So I will probably have to go by Michael's tomorrow to go pick up some more. I do think I cleared them out of this color, which was kind of worrying me. But I still have yet to figure out how to like properly, what's the word that I'm looking for, like gauge how much yarn I'm going to need for a product or for a project, because I have not been crocheting for very long. My next task that I really want to do is I want to make a sweater. I really want to make like a nice sweater, and I want to use this stitch because I really like this stitch. It's just getting like the paneling and everything down for it. Does that make sense? Anyways, so this is kind of like my night plans. I have dinner in the slow cooker for Tyler. I made him like creamy broccoli, creamy chicken. I don't know how to describe it. The only other thing I need to do is put the rice on. And oh, I did end up making, which I showed y'all, I made my pumpkin spice creamer. I made it a little bit differently this time because the first time I made it, I put half of the can of pumpkin puree in it, and it just quite frankly did not have enough of that like pumpkin taste. So this time I put in the full can and I put in a little bit more sugar to kind of like offset it. So we're gonna see how that tastes. I kind of want to have a cup of coffee right now, but I also have not been sleeping very well. So I feel like my caffeine consumption, she's up too much again. She's up too much. So I probably need to bring her right back down. Okay guys, it's time for, I have a couple of updates for y'all. If you hear panting in the background, it's raining outside and Rex does not do well with inclement weather. So, but I've made progress on two crochet projects, and I've also made some progress on reading. Actually, let me see how far into 9th house I've gotten, because I've gotten a good chunk of it read. I'm almost done with it. Okay, so we'll say I'm roughly like 359 pages into 9th house. So I just have this little chunk left, and I gotta say, I'm excited to finish it. Not because it's bad, okay? I think the thing is like I was coming off of the high of 6 of Crows whenever I started this book, and not that I was necessarily expecting it to be the same. I was just hoping that it would give me kind of the same feeling. Like with 6 of Crows, every time I wasn't reading, I was so excited to get back into the book. And also I was just so content to sit there and read for a long time, because it had been a while since I had picked up a book that was like 500 plus pages. And I was just so content to just sit there and read for hours and be so happy. And with this, I'm finding it like a little bit more difficult to want to pick it up physically. Like it's a really good audiobook and I'm enjoying the audiobook. I am chugging it out. I think I will probably end up finishing it today while I finish my crochet projects. I'm liking it, just not as much as I thought I was going to, I guess is just like the best way to put that. I'm liking Alex more now as a character. I think that was probably part of the thing that I was struggling with at the beginning of this book. And I think that's also probably a good thing. I think that's what the author was trying to do, because Alex is not a very likable character, but at the same time, you kind of understand where she's coming from, because the way that all of this started for her, the way that she was introduced into this world, it was very graphic and very difficult and just traumatizing, honestly. And so the way that she has hardened herself in order to deal with her surroundings, like it does make sense, and it makes sense for the character, and I understand that we needed it for where she is at to make sense. It got to the point where, like, I don't know, I wasn't excited to pick it up, mostly because of the very dreary and just harsh vibe that this book has. The atmosphere is great. Like, you're set in fall, you're set in winter, like the atmosphere is great. It's a perfect fall/wintry read, and you're dealing with things like ghosts, and you have this whole spirit world that you're introduced to, and it's very like, it's giving very what it needed to give, like October-y, autumnal kind of vibe. It just was a little bit more, it's a little bit more graphic than what I thought it was going to be. Not necessarily graphic in like a sexual way, but just like this is like a Law and Order episode, to be so honest with you. Like that's kind of what it feels like to a certain degree. Yeah, I think it, like if I had read it expecting what it was going to be, I probably would have enjoyed it, or would be enjoying it a lot more. I'm just not completely sold on it. So we'll see what happens in the last like 90 or so pages. But do I think I'm going to pick up Hellbent? I think probably. It really just depends on how this one ends, I guess, is going to be the deciding factor on whether or not I want to go into Hellbent. But I would recommend it. This book just deals with so many heavy topics, like so like there's SA in it, there's general, I should say, parental neglect almost. Addiction is a big thing in here too. And so there are a lot of things that like I just was not expecting, having come from Six of Crows. And while those situations were very hard, and it was a very, you know, it was giving like YA fantasy where like the stakes are super high, the odds are grim and stuff like that. Like I'm used to that, but this just felt different, I guess. Either way, I don't know. I am happy that I'm reading it, honestly, because this was something that has been on my TBR for so long. So I'm happy that I'm reading it. It's just one of those books that like caught me off guard, I guess is the best way to put it. But I do think like I can appreciate it for what it is, given like the whole dark academia, Yale secret society vibe. Like I was interested in that. I do feel like we have veered away from that more, like in the latter half of what I have read so far. It's been less about the secret society and more about this one question that we're trying to solve. Well, two questions, honestly, that we're trying to solve. Okay, then I also made just the teensiest, tiniest bit of progress into Jane Eyre. I'm on chapter 4 of Jane Eyre, and this book is, okay, first of all, this edition of this book is absolutely stunning. I quite literally love this so much. I'm so happy I got it. Am really liking the vibe. This is also giving very like creepy, very much like almost kind of like, not that Jane is an unreliable narrator, but almost that she's an unreliable narrator. At this point in the story, we're following her when she is 10 years old. She is the orphan of the family. Like I think her uncle's family brought her in, and her uncle ended up dying, and her aunt and her son are frankly terrible to her. I mean, like awful to her. At one point in the book, they literally like shut her in the room where her uncle, Jane's uncle, died. And so obviously to any 10-year-old, like it's gonna be traumatizing. She's stuck in this dark room where her uncle died, and she's like seeing things, and it's so sad. Genuinely, it's so sad to think about her in this scenario, and it makes you want to absolutely have beef with this aunt, because why are you like this? You know what I mean? But I'm excited to get into when Jane is in her like older years. But other than that, I'm really enjoying Charlotte Bronte's writing. I have never read a book by Charlotte Bronte before. I read Wuthering Heights, which is by Emily Bronte. I'm just excited to see kind of how this unfolds and what ends up happening. But I am just enjoying this for the vibes, to be honest with you. Those are all of the reading updates that I have for you, but I do have some crochet updates. So the two projects that I'm working on are a blanket and a sweater. For the blanket, this is about as far as I've gotten into it before I ran out of yarn, but I did order some more yarn, so I'm probably gonna have my brother come or go pick it up because I have to wait on the washing machine repairman. So this is just gonna have to, I might just finish out what I have here because I do have a little bit left, so I'm probably gonna finish out what I have here and then wait to get the next one, wait to get my next batch of yarn. And then I'm also starting a sweater. I think I told you, I don't know if I told you guys, but I did post a TikTok about it. I finished the first panel. This is technically the bottom of the sweater. I wanted it to be fitted at the bottom. But I finished the first panel of my sweater, so I'm super excited about it. But yeah, now I'm just going to, I finished cleaning the house today because I wanted to get a little bit of cleaning done before the washing machine repair dude came. So now I'm just about to sit, probably finish out the audiobook for Ninth House, see how much progress we can make in my crochet projects, because I don't feel like picking up Ninth House physically. I do want to finish that, and then I'll end up picking up Jane Eyre physically because I would like to annotate that. Boy, do I have an update for y'all. Good morning, guys. It is Wednesday morning now, and I did end up finishing Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo last night. I finished it while Tyler went to bed, and I'm kind of torn on how I feel about it. Let's talk about the things that I did enjoy from this book first, okay? So first of all, the house that Alex was staying in, I really liked because it ended up being sort of kind of its own character, which I always find interesting. I love it when inanimate objects are characters, but not like Kaz in the spell shop where like he's sentient, but more so that like it has a spirit almost, but like not really. I don't know how to explain that, but you get what I'm saying. If you've read this book, you get what I'm saying. I love that aspect of it because it made it feel like a little bit creepier, I feel like, than what it would have felt if the house was just like flat, I guess, if that makes sense. I think I had talked about before how I was hoping that we would have a little bit more of the secret society aspect of this book, and like that still is true. I still wish that we would have delved a little bit more into that. We had like little excerpts from the past at the beginning or at the end of each chapter, and those were interesting. I liked reading those. I just feel like, I don't know, I feel like it was hard to necessarily like what I was reading because Alex herself is not a good person, quote unquote. Like I'm not going to go through that whole thing again. It's one of those books that are like uncomfortable to read, but like you get why it's uncomfortable because you get that what the main character has gone through like would make it uncomfortable. I liked what Leigh Bardugo did. I think like I said before, if I had gone into this book expecting what this book was, I think I would have loved it. So I think maybe like rereading it, I might enjoy it more. I just think that I was looking for something and this wasn't that, and so it's not necessarily the fault of the book. Would I recommend it? I do think I would recommend it, with the caveat or understanding that like that there are extremely heavy topics in here. So if you're going into this expecting like an actual quote unquote fantasy, it's not going to be that. There are some heavy topics in here. I do think I still will read Hellbent. Like, and here's the thing, like I don't have fleshed out opinions on this book so far, because like I'm going back and forth on being like, okay, did I enjoy the book? I generally enjoyed reading it. Like I did have I don't want to say pleasant time because of the subject matter, but like I did have a good time reading it. I don't quite know how I feel about this book. I'm like torn between loving it and being kind of like about it, because for the first like 60% of the book, I really did not care a ton about what was happening. Actually, I shouldn't say that. It was just that like whenever I put the book down, I told y'all I was not really excited to pick it back up. It was not a favorite by any means. I do think potentially where we left off in this book, I do feel like it has potential for Hellbent to be a good one, depending on which direction we take it from there. I don't know. It was really dark and it was really fascinating. I guess it's really just, it comes down to the whole like secret society. They have different privileges that like the normal human would not have because of their wealth and their power. And so they're allowed to get away with stuff. And she's coming in as this sort of like underdog to not necessarily like take out the corruption, but also in the same breath to exactly do that. I enjoyed it. I think I'm talking myself into enjoying it. It's just going to it might be one of those books that like the more distance I have from it, the more I appreciate it, I guess, if that makes sense. I think for rating, I would probably rate it like a 4-star. Like it is a pretty highly rated book for me. It's just one of those that like, it does not leave a good feeling like Six of Crows did. And I think that's probably what I was looking for. Like I was looking for like this happy kind of feeling. Whereas with this one, it's so dark and depressing that it does not leave that feeling. So that's what that's about. Anyways, that is my update on that. Now the next book that I'm reading, I did want to say I have not read much of Jane Eyre. I do think that this will probably be a book that spans over a couple reading vlogs, just because I don't want to try to rush it. But I do want to get more into it, so I want to get like a good chunk of it read today, but have not made much progress on that, so I'm not going to talk about that. But the next book that I'm going to be reading that I do kind of want to try to finish today, I do think I can. I could at least get a good chunk of it read today, is The Madman's Daughter by Megan Shepherd. I, to be honest with you, completely forgot I had this book on my bookshelves. I've literally had it on my bookshelf. When did this book come out? Since about 2014. This book came out in 2013, and I was not on like the initial whenever it first came out, but I'm close to it, okay? So I've had this book on my shelf for close to 10 years, is my point. I would like to actually get to it and get to read it, and I do think this is giving a vibe that I want right now based on the cover and kind of what I know of the story. Basically, all I know about this book is that this girl, her father, I think her father's dead or he's gone something. He was running these terrible experiments where he was trying to turn animals and give them like human spirits or like something along those lines. She ends up traveling to where he was running these experiments with these two other guys, and they're trying to shut it down, basically, is like what I got from the back of the book. But obviously, because her dad is like this big scientist, she has this scientific curiosity that's making it difficult for her to choose between like shutting these science experiments down and then obviously, you know, being a scientist and do what her father did. Anyways, that's all that I know about this book. I found the audiobook on Spotify, so I'm probably going to listen to that and kind of like, I'll probably end up immersive reading it. I do also, it's 10 o'clock now, I do have to go pick up my bookshelves because I ordered bookshelves from IKEA. I ordered the Billy bookshelves finally, and I'm probably gonna have to leave here around like 11:30 to do that. So I have a solid hour and a half, a little over an hour and a half to get a good chunk of the way through this book. So that's probably what we're gonna do. Good morning, guys. It is Thursday. I have not done nearly as much reading as I wanted to this week, but it's been kind of an odd off week. We were supposed to have the washing machine guys come fix our washing machine Tuesday, and then they canceled our appointment for no reason, so I just kind of like sat around all morning waiting for them, and then they didn't end up showing up, and now they're supposed to be here this morning. I thought they were going to be here this morning, but it turns out they're not going to be here until like 11:30 to 2:30. So now I have a free like couple hours until I have to be ready for them to be. It's a whole thing. And I was gonna go to a coffee shop with Ashlyn today to get some work done. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to. Hopefully they get here at 11:30 so that I can. I do have a reading update because I've now gotten 140 pages into The Madman's Daughter, and I'm actually really enjoying it so far. It's pretty interesting. My general synopsis of it was fairly true. Basically, there's this girl, you don't really, like, she doesn't really know why her father left. Like, there was this big scandal. Her dad used to be this big, like, prestigious doctor, surgeon, something, and all of a sudden, like, this scandal breaks out where he was doing crazy things to animals, and they call it vivisection, which is like the live dissection of animals, which is, hey, that's animal cruelty. Juliet, she goes from this like high, very lavish life to then almost being on the streets because her father disappears. Her and her mother don't really have a way to make money, so her mother ends up becoming an escort, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Basically, there's this guy that would come around her mom every week, every 2 weeks, something like that, and all of a sudden they would have money. So that's kind of what we're assuming. Her dad, she just assumes, is dead, but she hasn't seen anything from him. Like, once the scandal broke loose, he like disappeared. So everybody thinks that he's dead. They're on this island now, her and these other two people, and we're just really trying to figure out like what's going on. The vibes are very creepy, very dreary. There's a lot of animals on this island. Some people aren't acting right. Like, it's really weird. And the thing about the island actually is it seems like it's one of the only islands that has not been, the way that she described it was it had not been introduced to like Darwinism. Like, the people have not been evolving on this island. I don't know, it was really interesting. It was really weird though, but I am really enjoying it. The writing, it's super easy to fly through. I do feel like if I just put my head down and read, I could probably finish this book today. Am I going to? I don't know. We'll see. I have like an hour and a half before I have to hear for the door. So I'm probably going to listen to the audiobook and crochet for the next hour and a half because I'm still working on my blanket. I want to get significant process done in it because tonight Ashlyn is going to be coming over and we're going to watch a movie and we're going to crochet together. And I'm so excited about it. So I want to make some good progress on that I guess I should just show you like kind of what we're working with so far. So first of all, this pull that I had was terrible. This is gonna be a nightmare to try to get through. I'm trying to mess with it, like not a lot, so it doesn't end up going to a ball. But this is the thickness that we have. This is like obviously the width that we're working with, so I'm working down into the length of the blanket now. And the only thing is, and like I should have known, but it's not that big of a deal to me, honestly, because it is what it is. But the new yarn that I got, so I got 5 skeins of yarn from one Michaels in my hometown, and then I ran out of those, and I guess bought all of that particular color that they had. So I ordered it from a different Michaels, and obviously they're not going to be the same like batch, and so the color is slightly off. But truly, honestly, I don't care. I just want to get this blanket done because this is going to be the blanket that I have in my reading room. And then I also want to put like this purpley kind of border around it, so it'll be like kind of Halloween-y, kind of fall-esque. So I'm really excited about that. I'm gonna have to go in and like tuck in all my ends and all that stuff. But I've made some pretty good progress. I just want to keep doing it and listening to the audiobook because I don't think I have the capacity. Also, as much as I'm loving this book, it is not gripping me to the point where I'm like, okay, I need to read this physically. It's kind of, I'm enjoying it for the story. I'm enjoying that I'm reading it, but I'm not like in love with it, I guess, if that makes sense. So hopefully that changes, and that could definitely potentially change in the next, I don't know, 100, 200 pages. Yeah, so those are kind of just the general plans for the day. I do need to go do some work at a coffee shop, or I need to go actually do some work today. It is the next day now, and it's time for me to finish this vlog. This has been going on for like a full week now, and I've only read 2.5-ish books. So I did end up finishing The Madman's Daughter last night, and to be quite honest with you, I'm happy that I finished it. And not in like a way that like the book was bad. It really was not bad. It was just, I don't think necessarily what I was in the mood for. I thought it was going to be different. I think the expectation was just different from the reality, and that's okay. I think largely because like what I was expecting of this book was, one, for it to be set in London for most of the book, and that just really, that wasn't the case. Like we were in London for the first little bit, maybe like 50-ish pages, maybe not even that far. And then the rest of it, we were on this island where I can't explain what was happening, obviously, because of spoilers, but like where things were happening that was quite literally insane. I genuinely, like, because of the way that this book is set up, I don't know what I can say without it being a spoiler, so I don't want to be too specific and then end up spoiling it for anyone. But I will say that, like, the direction this book took was unexpected, but it made sense by the end of it. And the way that this book ended also, I do really want to read the next one, which I wasn't sure if I was even going, like, I had no intentions on reading the next one up until like the last maybe couple of chapters of this book, so I guess that was a good thing. Yeah, I think overall I would probably rate this book like a 3-star. Like, I had fun with it. I would recommend this if you're wanting like a creepy read for sure. It's just not something that like I loved, I guess, if that makes sense. But I am happy that I finished it. I got it off my red shelf. So there's that. I have not made any progress in Jane Eyre. I kind of put that to the side because I was fairly busy this week. Yesterday, while I was cleaning up the house a little bit, I wanted to listen to an audiobook, and I was going to listen to The Madman's Daughter, but Tyler was using our Spotify, and we don't have like the household Spotify. He was on my Spotify plan, and so I couldn't listen to that. So I went on my Libby to try to find another audiobook, and I started Dracula, which I got about, let's see, I think I got like 15 to 16% of the way through that audiobook. 15%. And when I tell you, I did not know nearly as much about the story of, like, the actual story of Dracula as I thought I did. I was dumbfounded, honestly. I was like, what am I listening to? But I am excited to continue listening to it. I don't think I actually have a physical copy of Dracula. I know I have Dracul, I have Diary of Blood, I have Interview with the Vampire, and I don't have the actual story. I don't have the actual story of Dracula. So maybe I'll go pick that up this week. But I think that is going to conclude the end of this reading vlog. I had a lot of fun. I didn't get as much reading done as I was hoping to, but I still had fun doing my activities, starting my reading journal, getting some crocheting done. All of that will obviously continue in the next vlog. So thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys so much. I'm gonna go edit this vlog now. So I love you. If you guys want to find my face on any other place on the internet, as always, check all the links in the description. And then other than that, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.